Hi, in this video on my TXT discovery controller and robot, I continue where I left last time, and I encountered a few problems. The problems were that the images taken with the camera were all 0 bytes in 0 bytes large, so they were effectively empty. Also, it turned out that in order to get the camera action to work, that is camera action 0 to up to 3. For some reason I needed a while loop equal to 1, and after adding this one it suddenly ran this one as well, which is previously suddenly skipped. Another thing is that for some reason the motors don't respond as they did earlier. So enough to experiment with, and in order to get a nice view of how the robot works, I run the script, of course, but simultaneously I run the camera to show how the robot works and the response. I can't show that on screen simultaneously, so that will be a separate tapping after this first part of the screencast. So let's start. And as you can see on the video, the responses are not always as good as you hope. The fan stops, but and then it runs again. But there's some improvement here, and also if you look here at what you expect to do, it's not always what you think will happen. So one more time happens. Another thing that is apparently happening is that it suffers from the apparently slippery floor, although it's not slippery at all. But I think that the cable, the power cable, is somehow also due to its slow response. Anyway, let's quit this and see how the images are. And here we see that the images are not 0. or anyway the two images that it makes are not 0, but they are repeating 2. Now this is 0 image, which is okay, and this image which is okay. So let's see how large they really are, or anyway, if they show anything at all. And then I have, of course, this one to take. And let's see if this one is different. No, it's not different at all. So that's disappointing, because it runs, the robot moves, and then you expect it to take different images. So I have to find out why it does exactly this. So that's an experiment I have to investigate. And as you can see on the video, the responses are not always as good as you hope. The fan stops, but and then it runs again. But there's some improvement here, and also if you look here at what you expect to do, it's not always what you think will happen. So one last time password, see what happens. Another thing that is apparently happening is that it suffers from the apparently slippery floor, although it's not slippery at all, but I think that the cable, the power cable, is somehow also due to its slow response. And when taking a look at the cameras, I have put some print commands here. Camera action 0 for 0, and camera action 1 for 1, of course, and 3 for 2 for 2, and 3 for 3, and 4 for 4. So it becomes very clear that the camera action is being taken after each separate action. So here it drives forward and there's a camera action taken, and this is usually skipped because there is no contact and no sonar distance smaller than 10. And then 2 and 3, well, 3 is taken, but 2 is not taken, unfortunately. But the problem is that, as I will show here once again, for an intermediate test I did, this is image 0, and which is clearly overexposed, but you can see the line, and this is image 0, as you can see. Then I take image 3, which is basically the same, which is impossible because it was taken while it was not on the same place anymore, so it can't be this. It should not be the same image. So here's a problem I have to tackle and solve, because it clearly seems to me right now like possible memory error when taking the pictures. So that effectively makes moving according to camera pictures impossible, because then you wouldn't do any new action, since the camera images stay the same, although they shouldn't be. And here goes something wrong in and for the algorithm to encounter an object and grab picture 1, I have put a battery pack in front of the sonar. So if the algorithm works fine, I should get, I'll put it around with the text, so you don't get just a red surface. And let's see if the algorithm actually detects anything. So yeah, with this setup it should be nice working. So object placed, let's run. And unfortunately, as you can see, there is camera action 1. Only camera action 0 and 3. So I better stop this, because that, although it might be that this is also a problem. So if I just cut this one out and see what happens then. that would be an interesting experiment as well. So I copy, cut this one out, and let's see. Let's see how this works, and I'd better do it for these ones as well. Save. Then I have to put the robot and object back in place and run. Okay, let's run it. And that went wrong, since the curve to the contact went wrong. It didn't run straight at it, but at the same time a contact was made and it didn't stop. So that is once again an issue coming back with the motors. So another unfortunately failed experiment, and enough to investigate. So let's do that. And that went wrong, since the curve to the contact went wrong. It didn't run straight at it, but at the same time a contact was made and it didn't stop. So that is and you can see on the video that it again doesn't go straight to the objects, but it touches at least one of them, and once again it is only camera action 1. So with the adjusted code, let's run it one more time. And you can see on the video that it doesn't go straight to the objects, but it touches at least one of them. And once again it is only camera action 1 and camera action 3. So camera action 1 is totally skipped, and why that is, I have no idea. So scientifically speaking, experiment is okay, although the result is not quite as expected. Actually not at all as expected. Let's just see if... Okay, the images are not 0, so that's one thing. And for the rest, well, that is I guess now for another time. So thank you for watching, and to be continued for sure.